Hey, welcome back. Tonight we discuss stray cats, hobbits and their power level, indie game failures, mistaken video game identities, Grand Theft Auto remasters, and more Valleys of Plenty.
Hello, I'm Nick. Kevin Sorbo is a sad little poopy boy.
I'm Josh, and I'm angry Nick won't toss a coin to his Witcher.
I'm Russ, and it's time to brush up on your baby shaking. Farmville 3 comes in November.
It is a well-known fact that werewolves give people Parkinson's disease. Just ask Michael J. Fox, werewolfx.com.
Ow. I didn't know if we were going to do it or not.
I thought about it.
So while you have all been exploring the new world, I thought to myself, hey, I'm broke. I should play some video games. And I grabbed a good handful of games off the high seas in an attempt to find something worthy of talking about. For the most part, milk toast to promising, I think is what I was thinking. I played about 7 games. Notably, I saw Agony on the list, which was a H.R. Geiger meets Gonzo porn game set in hell that I really wanted to try when it was first announced, and I never got around to it. It's basically somewhere between, Alien and Dante's Inferno, really fucked up stuff.
Okay.
And so I downloaded it and started playing it and realized I had downloaded Succubus, not Agony, which is very much of the same vein, but much more orientated towards also being like a porn game. There's a little clip here. I don't know if you can see, Josh, but it's a first person, kind of like a combat game. I don't know what would be a good analogy. I played it for a little bit. Gratuitous nudity and sexual proclivities combined with ultraviolence, and it wasn't bad. I'll give it that. I also downloaded an RTS, this top-down like sci-fi shooter that turns out was first person. It's just a string of games I thought I was downloading that wasn't actually the games I was downloading.
Surprise!
But yeah, it's just, they're janky. Some of them, again, have that plague, that Unity plague I think I mentioned before, where I just feel like I'm playing a Unity tech demo.
Yeah.
I downloaded a game that was kind of like Banished, but not hard.
Okay.
Banished is you're a bunch of 12th century peasants trying to survive. It's a colony sim, but
I think I saw you
Oregon
playing a
Trail
little bit
on
of that.
crack. Yeah, I showed you this one,
Yeah.
and this one was much more Anno. If any of you play 4X games, much more economy based, but it was a bit too simple. Like I had recovered from any real difficulty pretty quickly on, then I lost interest. Played another one. I feel really bad because some of these were indie games. I fucking hate pirating indie games because I like paying for them. But I will give a shout out to Rogue Book out of the list. It is a deck builder, aka Slay the Spire, with a kind of fairy tale children's book theme.
Like a Grimm's kind of a
feel to it? Yeah, it played a lot like Slay the Spire. The overworld map, not the in-combat map, was a bunch of hexes that you use paintbrushes to discover. Mm-hmm. So every time you win a battle, you get a paintbrush, and then you can get modifiers to the paintbrush. So you don't get to fully explore every map before you go to the next one. But you have your main character and then your side character, and there's a lot of switching positions and combos, and it looked good. But again, it really felt like, okay, this is a really good proof of concept, like a solid beta. Not a lot to write home about, which got me in tasting for Guardian Quest, which is another deck builder that throws the whole kitchen sink in. I think I described it as Darkest Dungeon, Mega Man Battle Network, and Slay the Spire had a baby. You got a party of 3 people chosen from all the traditional kind of classes. They have subclasses. You have equipment, runes, spells, skill trees, elite monsters, all this stuff, storyline. And I haven't played it in like a year or two. That's one I actually paid for. And they made a lot of changes. A lot of the broken combos I know of are completely gone. They have kind of a neat system where your cards have their action point cost, like they would in Slay the Spire, but some cards have skill point cost, and skill point is a resource you build up as you play actions, which is kind of neat to have like 2 resources to balance your skills between. And you can use like gems or upgrades to make some cards go from action point to skill point. And just neat ideas. I don't feel like Gordian Quest has done really anything new, but I don't think I've really played anything new since 1999. So that's not any different. But it's really good. I recommend Gordian Quest if you like deck builder games.
Gordian?
Gordian, as in Gordian's Knot,
okay.
or the Gordian Knot, but so far having played it, there's no relation to the fabled Tangle.
It's the one the Rock cuts in half, right?
Yeah, with his eyebrows.
Yeah. Did you ever play Disco Elysium?
I have not yet. That's one I really don't want to pirate, and I want to save it until I have the money to pay them.
They just, the final cut is out on all platforms. That just happened this week.
Okay.
I highly recommend anybody that likes a good kind of head spacey detective puzzle game.
I was thinking like true crime meets what's the backcountry movie, Lost in Vegas?
Oh, Fear and Loathing.
Fear and Loathing. That's kind of the feel I got from it, having what I've seen of it.
Set in like a slightly dystopian futuristic society.
You're a fucked up like crime investigator having troubles trying to deal with your own psychoses and whatnot.
Pretty much. You're like you start off the game, I think, as like a washed up detective alcoholic, and you're trying to solve a crime, and and how if you want this to be like your return to dominance as a detective, or like your swan song as the end of your career, it's very fluid on what you want to do.
It's the closest we're ever going to get to Carl on Duty Black Cops, which is
unless somebody makes that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember Carl from what was it?
Family
Die
Matters.
Hard.
Family
Die
Matters,
Hard is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
Oh,
Wasn't he the Die
yeah,
Hard
yeah.
cop? Yeah.
He's also Family Matters.
I was thinking Family Matters.
Yeah.
Same guy.
Same guy.
He's one of those people. He's just like a part of my childhood.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think back, I'm like, they had all this stuff I watched.
Yeah, 100%. Dude,
Welcome to the party,
man.
pal.
yeah.
Yeah.
He was-
90s kids.
He was
Welcome
he was
to
my
the
dad, my real dad.
Carl Weathers?
So,
No, not Carl
No,
Weathers.
he's in Mando now. That's Apollo Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So speaking of investigations, I saw a game that looks like it's gonna be bonkers to play. It's called Stray,
Stray.
It's called Stray.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
and you play
As a dog.
As
who
a
can't
kitty.
find his way home.
no much better. You play as a kitty from the cat's POV, and you're injured. You're lost. Your family. Where are they? You don't know. Also, you're in a weird place where humans no longer exist. There's just robot people. And then you, as a kitty, you find your little droid friend, B12, and then you and him just start exploring this city, figuring out puzzles, getting cat snacks, using cat skills, to figure out the mystery of where are the humans, where's your family. But not everything is friendly to Kitty.
Is the cat voiced by Sally Field?
I do not know. But at one point, I saw the cat had some sort of laser upgrade, and the cat's running around, and
The cat has a laser upgrade?
he got like his little droid backpack got a little thing, and he was able to pop little dudes that were chasing him. Oh my god, dude, it looks like so much fun.
It's funny. Little weird fact I know, cats need B12 in their diet extremely importantly.
okay.
Because it's not something I think they naturally create.
Oh,
So,
So this one's got special injectors
Cat
and
facts.
lasers.
cobalamine.
No cat
Koala
facts.
memes.
oh, werewolf facts.
Werewolf facts.
Werewolf facts.
Oh, yeah. Should we change
Get some
subject?
cat facts at yourwerewolffacts.com.
Should we what?
We are now the proud owners
Oh yeah,
of
werewolf facts.
werewolffacts.com.
Yep.
I believe it currently just directs you to our website.
It
but
does.
That will change.
Will it?
Yes.
Okay.
We will slowly build up a coterie of knowledge encompassing all of humankind's thoughts.
Oh, I need a werewolf fact that werewolves can give people Parkinson's disease.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Fact number 1, we should number them and number them out of order to add to the lore.
Yes, absolutely.
Stray
We'll number
is
them
a
as they come to us.
PS5 only release.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the first time I'm hearing of like a PS5 exclusive that's not.
Yeah, I'm
On the
sure
PS4
we're
as
gonna
well.
get more and more of them.
Well, of course, that's how the console upgrades work. But I mean,
Yeah.
I was taking a stab in the dark there.
Just because a lot of the games that have been announced, they've also announced that they will be available on the PS4 as well. Which it is notable in the fact that in the lifespan of the new console, I feel like it's pretty nice that they're still releasing them on backwards compatibility with the older gen, because I don't think that's I don't know for sure, but I feel like the time frame for that has passed when they would still be like, yeah, you can still play it on the old console.
It's cutting the edge, but I think they're aware of the shortage of PS5s has been a problem for a while.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to get your game in the most hands of people, you have to put it on more platforms. And if you're going to be Sony exclusive, then there's no reason to not have it on PS4 and PS5.
And honestly, the games that are on the PlayStation 4 a lot of times just seem like they're better than the ones that run on the Xbox. But I guess the Xbox is still running on like 3 different generations of the same console, and they're all different, so it's kind of hard to gauge.
Though the PlayStation did the same thing. There was PlayStation and PS4 Pro.
Sure. But I mean, that's 2. We have the Xbox S, the Xbox One X, or not the X. That's the new one. So no, Series X is the new one.
Series X, yeah.
And the difference between like the PlayStation and the PlayStation Pro was like a fairly minor.
It was pretty minor. So was the difference all the way up to the One X though. That was just a difference in resolution.
You also have to consider the Xboxer Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Limited release.
Thank you. He threw an Xboxer. Mike Tyson. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'll leave now. Sorry.
That being said, it doesn't seem like it doesn't look like everything on Series X will be available on the older platforms, One X, Xbox.
So they already have newest gen exclusives slotted for the Xbox?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is a separate generation, so it is meant to be like the competition with PlayStation 5.
Well, no, I know that. I just mean like...
a competition that I don't feel like Microsoft is doing.
Microsoft is doing just fine because of their pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Putting everything on available for
the Game Pass
stuff.
Yeah,
Game Pass is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then like they're also their acquisitions that they're trying to do. Like
none of them are impressive.
I don't know, dude. Ubisoft or Take-Two, either one of those would be a fairly impressive take.
The problem with Microsoft taking on is that Microsoft doesn't let these companies do what they do best, which is what a lot of other acquisitions will do. Like I think Sony a lot of times it's like, okay, we own you, but go ahead and do what you do because that's why we bought you. Microsoft buys something and says like, we want you to do this.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's time and time again has been a disaster.
They can't get away from Bill Gates' mentality.
Yeah. Oh my God. Bill Gates is a huge fucking control freak.
Like, having if they acquire Take-Two Interactive or Ubisoft, either one of those to make them Xbox exclusive titles only from there, that's a large chunk of popular games. Take-Two Interactive is Borderlands. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I mean, can you get excited if Microsoft ends up picking up these studios? Because to me, it's a mark against that, like the hype train. Because otherwise, I'd be hoping that those companies would be releasing their own games and it would be a great game. But now it's like, oh fuck, Microsoft's getting involved. Mm-hmm. You know, what are they going to do to it?
That reminded me of the website Killed by Microsoft.info. It's a list of all the studios that Microsoft has picked up and killed.
The same for Activision and stuff too.
Yeah, I mean the list goes on and on, and that's not even counting game studios. I mean, didn't they pick up? They picked up Rare back in the day. Did they pick up Westwood?
I don't know.
I don't think they picked up Westwood.
We'll see. But I'm thinking you said something. I was thinking in Neversoft. Didn't Neversoft went under a while back, right?
That's to the Tony Hawk games,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
2014. God, I'm old. It's like last year, right? They went down? No. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were just talking about like older phones, and we brought up the Google Pixel. It felt like that was like a fairly recent release. That was 2013. Yeah. We're old, man. Of course, we basically lost like a year and a half
Yeah, fucking time dilation, some weird
Minimum.
shit.
We haven't caught back up yet.
No, not yet.
It's still a fugue. We're
I
in a time
retain roughly
fugue.
3 months a year, so COVID has done a number on my memory.
I think what we need to do is at the end of 2021, we just go back to 2020. Like,
yeah, they did it with their Gregorian calendar. There's like, hey, everybody, it's like Tuesday now.
Yeah.
Change your calendars.
Yep.
That's how
Let's
we
do it.
roll.
Yeah.
I mean, we change our clocks
It's
twice a year.
only
You know.
going to
bring
work
back-
if everybody does it. So
Let's bring back Rome just to like erase the history of COVID.
Oh,
If
dude.
we made a new calendar now, we're gonna end up with a Trump month, and I don't feel like
Trump.
Trump.
The Trump.
There's the Unicode.
It's going to be delightful.
Unix.
It will envelop all the seasons.
What's the programmer calendar they use? UTC.
All the seasons in Trumpuary.
I know things about programming.
Trumpuary. Please
Yes.
don't.
Nobody got my obscure Sally Fields cat voice reference.
No.
I don't know who Sally Fields is or what she has to do with cats.
The fuck?
She,
I don't know what she has to do with cats.
She's the voice of Sassy from Homeward Bound.
Oh,
Oh, the
really?
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's a throwback.
We're talking about old people stuff, so I figured that's a good
Yeah.
I love that movie growing
It's
up.
one
Oh,
of
I
my
did too.
favorites
Yeah.
growing up.
Absolutely.
Unix time is what I'm thinking about. There was a day
Time with
in
no
the
genitals.
70s, January 1st, 1970. A bunch of programmers got together and said, "Hey, all these calendars we've been using since the days we were banging our dicks with rocks did bad for computers, right?
Yeah.
Let's just agree that the moment it hits midnight in January 1st, 1970, Unix time starts."
Oh yeah.
And so Unix epoch time or second since the epoch is like a common UTC. Yeah, I had the acronym right. That's a time you'll see a lot in programming and stuff
Time
like that.
to cut your balls off. Unix time.
It will,
I get it. I got it. I got it.
You got one. You got one.
Unix letters.
It will give you more influence at court, though.
At court.
I have Unix.
Oh,
Spider reference.
yes, I
They
got
get
it.
advantage on social checks. I'm not working on a lot of sleep here. I'm relying heavily upon my compatriots for entertainment purposes tonight.
Perfect.
That's unfortunate. I am vastly unprepared for tonight's episode.
Yeah, we were talking about there's a desert of gaming news. I brought up a headline I saw as a joke, and Josh wanted to talk about it.
Well,
so-
let's
talk about it.
GTA remastered or GTA definitive. I mean, taking another GTAD, taking another stab at our childhood, repackaging it,
Our member berries.
our member berries,
Our
and
wallets.
repackaging our member berries and making us pay for it again. Much like a blackout or a creeping floodwater, Rockstar started removing the classic editions of the games off of Steam, PlayStation Store, you name it, it's going.
because they want to resell us them.
Because they want to resell some. Now, in some cases, like in other remasters, they made it so you couldn't just play the other game. Not Rockstar, but other companies, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Rockstar is not doing that. If you've already downloaded it, you already own it digitally. That copy is fine. It will remain untarnished. You can play it to your heart's content.
I would certainly hope so.
What games are they remastering?
first three GTAs?
So GTA, no, GTA 3, San Andreas, and Vice City.
Oh, they're going that far. Okay.
Yes, those three are getting the remastered. Now, the issue is we have no gameplay footage
We have lots of gameplay footage.
of the
These
old
games have been out forever.
Yeah, but we don't know what we don't know what the tweaks are, right?
It includes liveries, commemorative clothing, and special gear.
the only
I imagine it's just going to be upgraded to like the GTA 4 engine, right?
I mean,
Maybe.
maybe
I mean,
Hard to say because that would. They'd have to remake those games.
now that I watched that documentary on remastering games, I understand it's not nearly as easy as that.
Yeah.
They might
So-
just replace the textures with higher quality textures,
what
but use the same engine.
what they have released is the price of the game. It's going to cost you near $60 on the Switch, coming in at a bargain for Nintendo. Virtually everywhere else for the big boy, it's going to be $70.
So you're getting 3 games remastered at $70.
Well, I mean, we don't. What is the remaster going to hold, though? That's like, I mean, is it just upgraded? Is it just a touch up on the graphics? I mean, because
that's really going to make or break whether or not this is.
I mean, because up to like 2 days ago, you could buy all 3 games for slightly under half that cost.
Yeah, but they're
the original.
They're the original, which means you're going to be playing fucking potato.
Yeah.
Patty
it's also trying to get them to run. Sometimes that can be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But honestly, if they pulled like a Final Fantasy VII remake, then it's absolutely worth the full price. I mean,
is that like
the Grand Theft Auto graphics
also
aren't
no release date?
Crazy.
Now it's sometime this year. Now GTA 3 came out October 22nd.
2001.
2001.
Oh.
So October 22nd of this very year is the 20th anniversary, and that like has some big dick energy if you release it on the 20th
agree
anniversary.
with you, but at the start of your speech, you called them a blackened floodwater, and I think that's grounds for a lawsuit, and they're going to delay the game.
They're pulling the game. They're going to delay it. I'm sorry, guys. It's my fault.
Which one? Grand Theft Auto 3 was the one with like 8
the
ball and
faceless dude.
So
leather jacket guy.
Yeah, it was just the. I almost said a really bad.
You start
slur.
off the game, you get broken out of the paddy wagon.
Yeah.
With the guy with the tape on his hands.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a long time.
That was my favorite Grand Theft Auto still to date.
Really?
Yeah.
It's because it's the first real one.
It's the first, 100%.
Which one's Nico?
That's 4.
Nico Bellic is 4.
Oh, so the newest one I'm talking about is 5. Jesus.
Yeah.
And then there was San Andreas and Miami something.
Vice City.
Oh,
fantastic
man,
soundtrack.
Vice City. That's the one I want the most.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's going to come down. I mean, I think,
dude,
I would readily pay $70 for those 3 games if they were comparable to GTA 5.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
It's a lot of content. Yeah. The storyline and the side quests and the DLCs. There's a lot of gameplay there if you want to. Go through all that content.
If they've updated the targeting system,
that even in GTA 5, that's not a thing. Like that game has the worst aiming ever invented.
It's pretty ass.
You're
right. It is leagues better than it had been previously, for sure.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Hugely.
It's been 20 years. I don't remember.
Like if you were playing on a controller, you did not have right thumbstick aiming. So yes. Yeah.
Games.
So it's if it looked like Grand Theft Auto 4, I think it'd be worth the price of admission.
Yeah, absolutely.
GTA 5 is asking a lot. That's ground up.
Greedy. That's greedy.
I will give them money when they come out with GTA 6.
They probably will in like 2025.
Yep, after they've released GTA 5 a few more times. And then surprise release Skyrim.
Yeah, well, of course.
Would you classify New World as a pirate-themed MMO?
No.
I found
Would you?
No. So you know how earlier before the podcast I was actually bitching about this deluge of shitty gaming news websites that you get, where they typically have a non-paragraph of misinformation or even just stuff that has nothing to do with anything else, and they pop up in your search results when you're trying to look for a specific thing. Mm-hmm. Someone actually, I found while we were talking about it outside, somebody made a Reddit post about it. It was actually pretty amusing because the article pops up under how to do character transfers in New World, and there's 2 paragraphs of video, all the ads, and the guy highlights the last sentence of the thing and says character transfers aren't available yet in New World, and I'm like,
yep.
That's literally the information the person was searching for.
I've seen that as well.
But I found this one that was just popping up about how the server transfers have been delayed, and they're no longer going to be able to do transfers between regions.
Yeah. I need to interrupt you real quick because this is very pertinent. You're talking about these shit news articles that flood the market. So I just Googled, is New World pirate themed, and saw this article about how you could get a pack of day 1 DLC gear that's pirate themed, right? Mm-hmm. And I go to .esports.com for this article. When I hit the back button to go back to Google, it scrolls to the top of the page. And then if I hit it again, it scrolls to the bottom of the page. And I can't even go back.
That's
clicking a bunch. Oh man,
I get so
Fun.
arbitrarily irritated when websites keep me. They try to
Oh,
lock
yeah.
me to their
it's
page.
the
I'm
last thing that's going to make me stick around.
Yeah,
But
like in
I don't
the
think
world-
we're not their target audience.
like,
It's those old
confusing
people watching all the porn. They're like, oh, I guess I can't leave this site.
We are their target audience. They just forget that their fucking target audience is a bunch of smart people. Like really, at the end of the day, like if you're gonna try to reach out to an audience of gamers, remember that these are the motherfuckers that like
We invented this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Stop.
I remember
like,
a time before the internet. Do not ply me with this bullshit.
So this article about the new world server transfers being delayed comes from a news site called Twinfinite, which I have never heard of before.
We'll never again.
And in the beginning of it, they describe it as Amazon Games' ambitious pirate-themed MMORPG. And, like, that's literally the kind of sentence that I read, and, like, I'm done with your website.
So-
you have done no journalistic investigations. You have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. I'm out.
So if it doesn't say pirate themed, the other one that I see often is Spanish Conquistador.
Yeah,
it's got
you're
the-
right, 'cause it's
the
got a guy
one
with a helmet that
on
is
the cover.
reminiscent of the Conquistador
Right.
helmets.
Like, dude, how hard is it to play a game for like 45 minutes to kind of get the feel of it? Yeah, honestly, you see all of the fucking models that you're going to see in the game in the first 45 minutes. So, just jump in for a little bit.
If I had to be the devil's Advil, as the saying goes, I imagine we've got all these copywriters, essentially modern day copywriters, right, that have all these jobs that pay like fractions of a cent per word, and they get an article. Hey, New World comes out. Jonesy, write a fucking article, post it in 30 minutes, right? And they have to like slam together something because they've got 19 other articles they got to write about Crash Bandicoot's secret sex tape or whatever the fuck.
Oh,
else is
dude,
on
that would
their
be a
docket.
great article.
I
That would
read
fill
that.
up a podcast.
Werewolfacts.com could have a fake but real video game news.
That's
Just
hard
a
drive.
wall of fake ad headlines. Oh,
Yeah.
your driver's license in Oregon is set to expire.
Oh God,
Driver's license on Mars.
we'd make so much money by click-through ads.
The Crash Bandicoot sex tape. Get it at werewolfacts.com.
I promise if we ever make a site like that, I will kill myself. We need the old GeoCities like spinning GIFs and like viewer counter.
Yeah.
The best one's the tiny under construction man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What cartoon mascot is Crash Bandicoot fucking in this sex tape? Is it Sonic the Hedgehog? Is it Mario?
It's usually Sanic.
It's Sonic. Is it Yoshi?
No,
Nobody fucks Yoshi. Yoshi fucks you.
True.
Okay, that's fair.
Yoshi
Yoshi does good things with that tongue.
is very vanilla.
Everybody's very appreciative.
Is it a Koopa Troop?
Did you say Yoshi's vanilla?
He's very vanilla.
Bullshit. Nah, dude.
Did you read his memoir?
I have played one Crash Bandicoot game, which was the first one. I remember nothing about any storyline other than there is like a juju mask and you ate colorful apples.
It was the era of Diddy Kong Racing. I mean, the storylines were there just because they felt they had to have something. It's
Is
mostly
it Spyro the Dragon that he's fucking?
Spyro.
Spyro.
Spyro is
It matters.
specifically into
Sorry.
cock and ball torture.
So
That conversation didn't go well. They had a pre-event
is
talk.
he
It's a consent meeting.
the tortured or the torturer?
Remember Ganasty Gnork? You know why he's got so many G's in his name?
Yeah.
Now you do.
Nope.
I could not name another character
Go to that.
from the Crash and Bandicoot universe unless the mask counts, and I
It's-
don't know if the mask has.
Wasn't
a
there
name.
weird Mad Doctor?
Yeah, it was,
Yeah, there was- I can't-
Banjo Kazooie.
No, it's a whole other game series. but you're
Dr.
close.
Neurotic? No.
Dr. Nurgle?
Dr.
Dr. Evil Plans.
Neurotic is close.
Yeah, I know I'm close. It's on the tip of my
Nerdogenic.
tongue.
Neocortex.
Thank you. Okay.
He's
The evil
Doctor
Dr. Neocortex.
New Brain.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Okay.
Google refers to him as a fictional character. Thank God.
shit.
Oh,
Wow.
thank goodness.
Liars.
He's the one that Crash Bandicoot is.
He looks like a fucking Jimmy Neutron villain.
You look like a Jimmy Neutron villain, bitch.
You look like somebody that bullies.
Well,
Jimmy
Jimbo.
Neutron.
What?
Oh man.
Really?
Yeah, you look like
Thanks.
somebody who bullies Jimmy Neutron.
Well, shit had it coming.
Fucking smartass.
Yeah. I'll give him a
You look
Big
like
ass
if
head,
Carl went through
Carl?
like
From
the
Family
Oz, the HBO show, the prison series.
Oh.
Or was it Emerald Oz? Emerald.
It's Oz is the
Oz.
HBO series,
Yeah.
but I'm like,
Okay.
you're referencing somebody from Oz? Like, who's
No,
that?
not somebody in particular. Just like he went through a weird prison thing.
Oh, okay. Josh, you went through a weird prison.
You remember that? You remember the prison era? Just
Again, 4 hours of sleep. I'm
Dude,
reaching too
listen,
far.
we're all. I think I'm certainly tired, but that's
Yes.
because I took a nap in the middle of the day and it was trash nap.
Trash
Ah,
nap.
Love a good trash nap.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a lie.
You know, the reason I have so little sleep, just to touch on it, so I can feel slightly better about myself, is I have been in a full-on war with rats. They've gotten into my parents' house.
Well, hold on. We want to hear about the entire rat war after the break.
Oh, we got a break.
Okay.
Yeah, so save it for after the break.
Do you think you could get one to teach you karate, like Master Splinter?
I mean, only if you have the ooze.
The secret of said ooze.
You need the ooze. We'll be right back, guys.
So to continue the conversation from earlier, it all began with the forging of the Great Rings. 3 were given to the mice. No. We have a rat
Little
problem.
did they know, another ring was forged in secret.
The rat ring.
A tail ring. One Skaven to rule them all. No, we've had rats in our house. My parents are not hoarders, but they've had an entire lifetime of stuff accumulated that they haven't gotten rid of because they're old. And who knows how they got in the house? They're rats. They find ways. And
You're never far from one.
yeah, and we have our backyard, which is overgrown with bamboo, and behind that is like a culvert that is essentially a tiny field. So
That's
we're
where
just
the rats came.
rat central. I don't really like to kill animals, but you know, what are you going to do? Like my thinking was we get a bunch of live capture traps and then I have to capture them. We have to find a place to take them. And then I'm introducing rats somewhere else to be somewhere else's problem. So we bought some traps, work and whatnot. I've been dealing with this for a couple of days, up late at night, trying to find their holes, filling them in. I go to take a shower and we had thoughts that in this back room we had where there's a shower and like a small office, there might be one in there, but none of the traps had been sprung. Get naked. I'm in the shower. This bathroom is roughly the size of it's like a woman's like shoe closet.
Man,
right?
the story gets interesting when Nick gets naked. Am I right?
Lead with that. So I'm buck naked, right? I've got the 3 rings to rule all the digits. And I go to open the shower door and the rat's in the shower. Now we have a shower stall. It's stuck in the corner of the bathroom. The shower door seals shut flush and there's a gap at about 6 foot height for like all the steam to vent. I don't know how it got in there, but if anything you learn about rats when you deal with them is that they're fast and they're clever and they can apparently apparate through walls. And so I immediately shut the door. It's running around in circles in there. I'm like, what the fuck do I do? So I'm sitting there thinking, it's 3 a.m. I'm going to get a full bath towel, sopping wet, toss it on top of him, run outside. I wasn't thinking straight.
That's
right?
a fairly
I was
clever
like,
yeah.
solution to life.
Yeah,
Catch a
immediately it's
rat.
like a rat's not going to be able to Bobby Hill burst out of a fucking wet carpet, right? A
through it,
wet
Bobby.
towel. So he's in the very opposite caddy corner, and like I opened the door a little bit, and he's standing there, and we're both facing off. I was like, dude, I don't want to kill you. And so then he runs along the side of the wall. I throw the towel, and he jumps over it at me, hits my leg, and immediately, oh, fuck, goddamn it. Oh, you want some of this? Oh, fuck you, fuck. And like Adam woke up to me stomping. I had to stomp the rat because I don't have health insurance and I don't want to get bit by a rat. And it was just running and jumping like every half second all around. And I almost slipped. It was gross. I got that cleaned up. But no, we called out an inspector and got quoted. It's a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Thus, the first shot was fired in the Great Rat War.
Yes, it came to the creature Gollum, according to this website. I don't know who that is. But yeah, the time will soon come when the rats will shape the fortunes of all. And
And this is what happens when you don't have socialized medicine.
or leave a note.
Yes.
Yeah, gotta
Always
the
leave a note.
Always leave a note. Yeah.
No, my takeaway from that is you stomp rats if you don't have
Had
socialized
to.
medicine. Yeah.
I felt so bad.
Dude, listen, you had no choice. This is America.
Rats make like 1 million babies, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it is like 9 litters a year, over 20 on average babies a litter.
It's too many.
I mean, they eat their own babies, so they don't
Sometimes,
give a
yeah.
shit about their babies.
Yeah.
I mean, also
Thing
rats
was
can chew through
This
concrete
big. It's two of my fists together.
Yeah.
It was
and
not
tread water
small.
for 3 days.
That's the downside about trying to get traps to catch rats and stuff. Is you gotta get some big ass fucking traps.
Oh yeah,
for
the,
'em.
the Victor. We got them. They're the size of a fucking Nintendo Switch.
Because otherwise, you're just taking a paw off, and you've made a rat enemy for life.
You're just
Now,
nipping them on the nose. That snapper won't get them on the neck. Yeah.
Scooping up the field mice.
popping them on the nose. Meow, meow, meow.
Where are we going from here? Hard to
You
segue
get,
from
We gotta
that.
talk about your
No,
Witcher
well, you mean
thoughts, too.
you said
Oh, yeah,
Gollum.
Witcher.
What the hell is that?
I was trying to intersperse Lord of the Rings monologue on there, but I
Good.
forgot to
I
do
got
that.
something for you. What would you say of a fantastical
Pineapple.
new journey in the Lord of the Ring worlds from the perspective of none other than Gollum?
No.
Made by who?
I had no idea who it's made by, but
It's a Gollum game.
it's a Gollum game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who is that for? I mean,
People who want to
I
mine
guess-
for fish.
I don't know. It's like it's obviously going to be a stealth aspect to the game, I guess. Like,
There's only one Lord of the Rings game I want to see made, and it's like a 4X game
Yeah.
that you get to play over like multiple millennia as like one of the Maiar or some shit sculpting the fucking realms of Middle Earth. That's the only one I want to see. Everything
so
else can
okay,
stick.
okay, very cool.
I mean, they had the Shadow of Mordor stuff. I imagine it's going to be just more of that, but you play Gollum.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Is Gollum out
It's even
there
what it looks
fucking
like.
Merkin orcs? I mean, what?
Yeah, he's immensely strong.
the ring has given him a lot of power,
Yeah.
but
This
he's
is a
I don't think
very-
he's immensely strong.
He is strong enough to take on the Fellowship.
No,
Not all at the same time.
not even.
That's what I'm
remotely.
saying.
He's stronger than a normal Hobbit,
yeah,
but
like
that's
if he would have
My
fucking.
takeaway from the books was-
captured by.
I'm
the,
just
the
saying,
orcs.
even Sean Bean wouldn't have fucking died to fucking Gollum.
I don't know. He dies to everything, bro.
No, dude, fucking Gollum. That's why he's fucking lurking out in the fucking dark there.
Dude,
It's
he only
'cause
had, like,
comes out
8
of the
episodes
fucking
on Game of
shadows.
Thrones.
Fucking Sean Bean. Fucking
I think the ring has given him more power, so he's stronger than the base Hobbit that he was, but he's not immensely strong.
I think
You got to remember, he gets captured multiple times.
fucking Sam fucked him up, dude. I mean, now Sam,
Yeah,
that's
Sam had to put him in his place a couple times.
now that's
Yeah.
a fucking Hobbit.
I'm reading right
there.
here. In the Two Towers, Gollum's grip is described as soft but horribly strong as Gollum wrestles with Sam DMG. He's also able to climb effortlessly straight down cliffs, impossible to climb by Sam and
So
Frodo,
he's got-
and can make long leaps.
He's got some serious dick graspers, but that's like that doesn't make him immensely strong. Does it continue to say that he's got some sort of power level of over 9,000?
He's tier 10-C, according to the Versus Battles wiki.
Why did I not assume there was a strength rating tier system for Lord of the Rings?
But possibly higher when enraged.
So give me a comparison. To look up like
Who's also
look up
10-C?
Sam. What's Sam's power level?
Yeah,
He's a 14.
I just found this site, so I have to figure it out.
Well, I'll give Andy some time. So Daedalic Entertainment is the people who are making this game. They've been around a while. It looks like they've made a lot of games for Mac and Microsoft, a lot of weird indie games.
Okay.
They've got a catalog, and they haven't shut down yet. They've been together since, 2008, 2007?
Okay.
So that's something. German, looking like a lot of German stuff. So
like I feel like there's
there's like no news on it.
So Gollum is average human level.
Okay,
So-
so that makes him stronger than a Hobbit, I think.
Yeah.
fucking A. Okay.
But his striking strength is below average human class, but higher when enraged.
Okay.
what
So
about his light
Boromir
attack
could have fucking
combo?
murked him.
What?
What about his light attack combo?
He doesn't have one?
Oh.
His stamina is unknown, but likely very high.
77.
Could continue moving for days without tiring.
I watched a cool YouTube video talking about what would happen if Gandalf had taken the ring. It's pretty neat.
I was
Oh
going to
my
watch that, and then I
God.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings Gollum will mix Prince of Persia like stealth action, branching narrative, and
I like how they want to make a comparison to Prince of Persia when they could literally just reference the other Lord of the Rings game.
Right. I know.
That is what
God
Shadow
of
of
War,
Mordor
or
is.
Yeah.
Shadow of Mordor, yeah.
I mean, it was a little. I mean, Shadow of Mordor was a little bit less
stealth in that. Was Prince of Persia really that much of a stealth game though?
It was a puzzle game.
Yeah, I feel it's like more like
Yeah.
platforming,
Action platformer. Yeah.
It was like
puzzles.
Assassin's Creed-esque, right?
Yeah.
It also depends on which Prince of Persia you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fair.
I think a better analogy would have been
Metroid.
Styx, that Goblin game, STYX,
Which is like Thief, right?
Yeah, it was like that, but like this diesel punk kind of. You played as a goblin assassin. And
They're probably just going to reskin that game.
Yeah,
and call it good. I mean, if it's for Mac too, then that's definitely it. Who gives?
It's not Mac only, but yeah, a lot of Mac games. The Deponia, DEPONIA. If anybody's Mac OS or iOS games, same developer.
No, but think about a game that. Think about a Lord of the Rings game that was like a 4X, where you could do a supposition to where you play as like a Valar or Maiar or whatever fucking Gandalf level character is, and say you're tasked with like bringing one of the civilizations to glory, and you can choose either like a dwarven nation or an elven nation or one of the myriad human nations, the orcs, the hobbits,
and be the string puller in the background.
Orcs, come on.
Yeah, the closest to those god games we get is stuff like Black and White. I mean, it's rare you get anything of that scope.
Well, I mean, now that they've hit on the success that is the Shadow of Mordor and the War.
I think Shadow of Mordor is like the first half of the title of both games. Isn't it like Shadow of Mordor?
And then Shadow of War.
Yeah.
That's Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. Yeah.
There's a lot of shadows. They need more lighting.
Yeah, or they have too much lighting.
Shadow Babato.
You know?
That I don't like this picture of God.
No, that's like the promo picture that I've seen of the game too.
No, hard pass.
He's too smooth and he looks too much like a fetus.
I got a problem with Smooth Golem.
An Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, but it's Golem's Odyssey.
That would be more appealing.
That'd be fine.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I saw that and I was like, oh my God, who, what? What?
Nobody asked for this.
Yeah, I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, it's more money
who
grab.
asked for it? ScreenRant.com with their article, A Lord of the Rings Gollum game actually makes total sense. Talk about clickbait.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sure, it does. Video games make sense. Make a video game on anything. It makes sense. You could come on. Yeah, okay.
Oh, you thought of an idea for a video game? That makes sense.
Yes, it makes sense. Okay, make that.
You ever wanted to play through the invention of the onion ring?
That makes sense.
Listen, dude.
I was just thinking about that other day. I was like, man, that'd make a great video game.
The number of quick time action sequences we're going to have is going to blow your pants off.
The invention of the onion ring, it's already been done. It's called Halo. There was a war over it and everything.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
I love in our D&D game that Josh is running. We have this NPC with this necromancer, and she's got a glass orb that has a soul of like this professor in it, and it's pretty much straight.
It's 343 Guilty Spark.
Yeah, it talks like him and everything. It's fantastic.
I forgot Back 4 Blood's out. We need to.
Oh yeah,
Back 4 Blood.
Yeah, you, me, and Justin can.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. That's right.
Yep.
There's pretty high system requirements.
Very steep. Yeah. If you haven't built your computer in the last 3 years, then it's a little out of bounds.
Yeah.
Epic Games reportedly in talks to produce a Fortnight movie.
Oh, nice. So I forgot to write this in the show notes, but Randy Pitchford, the lead designer of Gearbox, he's out, and he is now leading their movie or their video company.
He's just switching hot seats.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just say right now, I could see that being a good movie.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, Borderlands movie?
No, I thought it was Gears. Why am I thinking Gears?
Gearbox, not Gears of War.
Oh, I thought a Gears of War movie.
Gearbox Studios. No.
Borderlands, the movie.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I remember about that. I'm not excited about that.
Well, he might be involved in the Fortnite movie.
Let him. That's
fine. Dude, honestly, it's a property that's just malleable. It could be fucking stupid or it could be really good. Who knows?
When it comes to Fortnite, it doesn't matter. They could fucking plop a fat steamer on the table and charge $7 for it.
They already do. It's a new weapon.
Yeah. The fucking shit stick. Fucking beat people with your own
gas-powered shit stick.
How many skins does the shit stick have?
Nick and I were just looking it up. Like in 2018, 2019, Fortnite made just shy of $9 billion.
Fuck.
Yeah.
And there are concurrently just under 50 million active daily Roblox players.
Also surprising.
Yeah. It's
so-
easy to forget that we are not target audience for those things.
Dude, Roblox is huge. And
But I didn't know that even up to like last week. I didn't realize that Roblox was a thing.
oh yeah, it's massive. It's a huge earner. I saw Squid Game being played in Roblox.
I
It
saw
actually
that.
looked compelling.
fuck.
Nothing in Roblox looks compelling.
Well, yeah, it looked as compelling as
As it
Roblox
could
can be.
as compelling as Roblox could.
But
very-
they did a pretty good
very low bar.
They did a pretty good like 1-for-1 recreation of the games in Squid Game, which was interesting at least.
It's impressive that they were able to act so quickly and get something that looks.
Well, yeah, especially
gives the
since
feel of the
it's
Squid
user
Game.
created.
And if we got to give Roblox credit, it's for the fact that it's essentially like kids' first game design platform.
Yeah.
Like it is not difficult to make maps and levels in Roblox, and that's why it has staying power, because you go to play the game and it's just servers upon servers of people with their own unique maps, and every single one of them has freemium stuff you can buy using Roblox Bucks, and that's where they make all their money.
If you die in Squid Game, you can try again, but you got to pay. It's behind a paywall, so yeah, they're raking it in, dude.
Smart.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh hasn't watched Squid Game, so I will draw and quarter him after the podcast, but I have finished it, and hopefully next week, before everyone's forgotten about it, we can talk about it.
Yep. And week 3 of us not watching Mortal Kombat.
I tried to do it. Literally just like last night or the night before, and I realized that I don't have access to any legitimate means of watching Mortal Kombat.
I've got HBO Max.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that would have been it. But yeah, because even when I went to like Hulu and Amazon, they're like, you need an HBO Max subscription to watch it. And admittedly, I was like, okay, well, that just means I have to watch on my phone, because then I can just stream it using my shady stream service. But I wasn't in the mood to like go watch a full length movie on my phone at the time. So, but I tried. I made an effort. It was a minimal effort, but it was made.
It was made.
Something
That's what
was
counts.
attempted.
They're like, oh fuck, I gotta watch Mortal Kombat. Instead, I think I ended up, because I couldn't watch that, I ended up binge watching all of What We Do in the Shadows.
What is that on? Because I really want to watch that.
Hulu.
Oh, fuck.
No,
It's from FX, so it's on Hulu.
You have the worst of the streaming services.
I have Netflix
Yep.
and YouTube, so I have the best.
Well,
not Netflix. Netflix doesn't have shit on it.
Yeah, Netflix doesn't count in that.
I mean,
equation.
Netflix had Squid Game,
Yeah, for sure.
and it had the Witcher animated series.
Yes.
which
And
was pretty dope.
yes, it has a few properties, but it's the kind of thing where like you could subscribe for a month every 6 months, get caught up on all of the content, and be fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does that not apply to the other streaming services?
I mean, there's a
They
lot of
have
stuff
regular
going on.
releases. Yeah.
It depends on if you want to watch like multiple seasons of a TV show.
Ah,
Because then like something like Hulu is really good for that.
Yeah.
So I watched What We Do in the Shadows. I think there's 3 seasons of that show. It's just so good.
you describe it for the audience.
If you're not familiar, it's like a documentary crew following around 3 vampires that live together in a house in Staten Island, New Jersey.
Fantastic description.
That's
I mean,
the
nailed it. Yeah,
basis of
nailed
that
it.
show. That description does not give it any justice. It's I mean, if you've watched the movie, because it was a movie first, it's more of the same.
And it's the people from Flight of the Conchords, New Zealand comedy.
I don't know who makes the show, but in the movie, Jermaine Clement was in. He was one of the vampires, not the other one whose name I can't remember right now.
Okay.
In the TV show, he's not one of the main vampires.
Okay.
I don't remember. Are you been watching it?
I've seen the first 2 seasons.
Okay, so the married vampire.
Yeah, it's the dude from the IT crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is he? I don't remember if he was in the movie.
I don't think he
Oh,
was.
Matt Berry from the IT crowd.
Yes.
The guy who ducks like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
One of my favorite people to watch.
So funny.
Because he's always doing
The
that thing.
Yeah.
Gizmo.
But he's fantastic.
Oh, he's wonderful.
Now, originally when that first show came out, I didn't want to watch it because they had changed the cast for the vampires, but they're not like recasting; they're just literally different vampires. And a minor spoiler: at some point, Jermaine actually does reprise his role as a vampire in the show.
Got Nick Kroll and Craig Robinson in it.
Oh man, that fucking
Apparently.
witch's hat episode.
Fucking witch's hat.
I need to watch it.
I highly
Penis
recommend that.
puckering on the back of my head.
And then I actually rolled, once that ended, Hulu automatically rolled me into watching King of the Hill. And so I've just been like background watching King of the Hill for like a week now.
It's so good.
I love
Christian
King of the
Shaw.
Hill.
I didn't know
love King
she
of the
was
Hill.
in it. I love her.
The King of the Hill's frustrating with how back and forth it goes on whether or not.
It's a great episode. Or
Well, if Hank Hill is a good person or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, that's like, I'll watch an episode. I'm like, man, you're such a fucking piece of shit. And then I'll watch another one. I'm like, all right, good on you, guy. You're doing right by your son. And then just other times I'm just shaking my
by Bill's
head.
son.
Yeah.
You think
All
so?
that-
Yeah.
Yes.
Propane he's huffing.
God, that would have been such a great twist to that series.
Mike Judge is just good.
Yeah.
And he writes
He makes good
compelling stories to watch.
There's not a lot of them out there, but I love watching his interviews.
Oh yeah.
Just fantastic.
Is Mike Judge doing anything these days, or
I'm sure he is.
animation wise?
Let's figure it out.
I mean, he probably made enough money. He doesn't have to do shit.
Yeah, no. I mean, it would be great if he just gave us some more stuff, though.
Silicon Valley and
Oh shit!
Tales
Okay,
from the Tour Bus premiered
Silicon
4
Valley.
years
that was fucking
ago.
a funny show.
Oh, Mike Judge did Silicon Valley?
Oh yeah.
I should have known that. I apologize for not knowing that.
Yeah, he created it. Of
Yeah,
course.
that was man. That show was fucking funny.
Guy is an institution. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, we got talking about that because I actually started watching TV shows. I got
Yeah,
a
you did.
hair at my butt to finish Love, Death, and Robots because I watched the second season. I liked the first season.
First season's good.
I enjoyed it a lot. A lot of it was kind of the novelty. I've watched a lot of short films in my life. There's a lot on YouTube, and it was good to see a nice curated anthology. And then I watched the second season, and none of them were bad, but they were missing for me what I enjoy about good sci-fi, which is asking some kind of question about what does it mean to be human. Right. If you don't have any kind of philosophical bent to your sci-fi, it can still be good, but it's not going to be great. Right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be something you're going to remember. The only episode that I think really kind of struck a chord with me was the last one, and it didn't really hit until I had watched the majority of it. It was the one about the giant man on the beach. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yep.
Russ watched it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So scientist comes up, and a giant man, this Romanesque looking human, is washed up on the beach completely naked. He's like 100 feet long, and there's a lot of voiceover of him talking about this, and it took me a while to realize that there's a lot of what I would assume are metaphorical layers to it. The giant man is there essentially representing something like a giant beached whale, in the sense that the thesis I got from the episode was things that are truly wondrous quickly lose their wonder to humans. And the scientist himself kind of has himself removed, and he's watching as all these people mill about this giant body, and eventually after the news wears off, it becomes a part of the background. They start treating it like shit, and then eventually it breaks down. It becomes a part of the society. The human bones were like held over bars, and the giant penis was in a circus. But even he himself eventually steps upon the beast and looks into it. There's like cigarette butts put down its eyes, It's not a gruesome episode by any means.
It's
visceral.
It's macabre.
Yeah, there's a giant corpse there, and it shows, it gets his arm cut off. And but yeah, once I saw, like, there was halfway through the episode, the corpse is starting to, like, decompose. There's a guy in a trailer out, and he's got a bunch of pots boiling, and they're obviously, like, cooking down the fat as you would cook down the whale oil from a whale. And, so then you've got all the environmental aspects of it. What are we doing to our environment? But it was really that idea of, like, to me, the mundanity, the mundanification, banalification humans do to everything that just turns everything so milquetoast is the worst, right? Like, I'm personally constantly searching for new novel experiences to keep me, entertained throughout this spin on our giant rock ball through space. And, things that we take for granted now would have been fascinating 10, 20 years ago, and they were. Right, but then it quickly becomes mundane, and I enjoyed that episode, but it took me a while to figure out what was going on there.
No, it was a really good episode. That's probably the most standout episode to me as well. Yeah, at least in the second season.
The second season, and I mean the first season too, but they really felt to me, the majority of them, like demo reels for people's portfolios. Like, look what we can do. And that's fantastic. I mean, some of that work I loved it. But like, we didn't get anything like Zima Blue in the second season, which was just a mindfuck of an episode. But that rolled into Neil Blomkamp's short films he released under something called Oats Studios. It's like 5 or 6 short stories with Neil Blomkamp's like signature hyper-realistic kind of H.R. Geiger-esque art. Some of those episodes are extremely gory and body horror-filled. Big trigger warning there. If you don't like depressing, messed up stuff, don't watch this. But if you're okay with that, they're pretty entertaining. And then, topic of the evening, I realized, what else is on here? I want to watch something else. I started watching The Witcher. I have a weird history with The Witcher.
Give me shit over Squid Game.
I actually watched The Witcher.
Yeah, finally, I'll watch the Squid Game before 2 years is up.
Will you?
Probably not.
Mr. Community. Hey, shut up, Justified.
And The Office. Dude, I'm hyper guilty of rewatching.
I'm like the last person to be talking about any of this because I don't watch things. So yeah, I went into it having played like 3 or 4 hours of Witcher 2, putting it down due to what felt to me like a yet-to-be-proven game studio has a really cool idea, and they don't have the chops to make a smooth user interface and UX, and the meta level of the game of inventory management and weird design choices got in the way for me enjoying it. And then I played Witcher 3, I think 3 times, and it never hooked me. I think I got about maybe 15 hours into it. Got up to the Bloody Baron, I think is in the first area, kind of in the north. Yeah. I really liked the combat was great, and the idea of using all your different tools at your disposal to handle these Witchers. I mean, that's the kind of like crunchy, like D&D stuff I love when it comes to Monster of the Week. Like, what tools are we going to use to solve this issue? And you combine that with the excellent writing and, you know, the twists that you don't really expect, and even if you do, they're still good, and the storyline. All that piled on top of this idea that the Witcher is displayed as this emotionless monster-killing machine, more often than not encounters a situation where slaying the monster isn't the answer, or at least it isn't to him, and you've got these moral quandaries. Like Adam was,
the real monsters are men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing the show, I think, did a decent job touching on that was that there is so many kingdoms and kings and royalty in the show that is just glazed over. They give you the impression that they mention in the show that these kingdoms are rising and falling all the time. It's just human strife is, the norm, and they are the monsters, right? And then the main cast kind of sits outside of that for the most part. But I went in knowing like vaguely who Ciri is and Triss. Spoiler warnings for Witcher. I think it's
2 years old now.
Show,
go for it.
The show's based off of some of the short stories from the books. It's not based off the games.
So there's technically only 2 books.
Okay.
One of the books is a retelling of Witcher adventures in short story form. Mm-hmm. And the games themselves are also based off of those 2 books.
Okay. So the show doesn't tell you that. I had assumed it wasn't going to be based off the storyline from the video games, just as a gut reaction. But I knew who the Witcher was. I knew about the Wild Hunt, and I know a little bit about Yennefer's story being this big, powerful mage, but I didn't know any of their backstories or really where any of this went. So I went to the show. The first episode has you introduced to Geralt, and he goes to a town, and you find out he's a Witcher slayer, and you're thrust into this problem he has where there's a wizard who wants to kill this woman, and the woman wants to kill the wizard. I'm glazing over a lot, but he's stuck in this, and he doesn't want to make the choice of lesser 2 evils. I was like, this is kind of a great start. And that first episode was really great. But I noticed right off the bat, it was really quick. And I knew this was immediately going to be a problem. You've got this big, fantastic world-building exercise that is The Witcher, all the stuff that Andrzej Sapkowski has done. And I saw that the season's like 8-10 episodes long. I didn't know if there was going to be a second one. I'm already thinking, okay, how much are they going to be able to fit in this? Like, I don't know what storyline they're drawing from. And so, putting it poorly and bluntly, The Witcher gets this woman to agree to leave and not kill the wizard. Then they have sex, and he wakes up, and she's in the town, I guess, attacking the wizard. And it all happens really quick. And that gets resolved, and she dies, and there's all this weird kind of magic stuff going on. She's saying, like, the woman in the worlds will always be with you. I'm like, okay, this is alluding to stuff that's going to happen in the story. And he gets her brooch, and there's this backstory of the brooch. And then when the second episode hit, it immediately started this problem of none of that related to the second episode. And then almost none of, like, the main plot points of the second related to the third, and so on and so on. And each episode felt like they were trying to cram 3 hours of content into an hour. And every single throwaway line of dialogue I had to remember because it was the only piece of information given to me as a viewer to relate to something that happened later in the episode. And I wasn't even sure if that was going to come up further into the show. We get 3 or 4 episodes in, and you have the wedding of Princess Pavetta, who is the mother to Ciri and the daughter to the Queen of Calanthe, I think, if I have the names right.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to lore dumping, right? I'm a fantasy nerd through and through. I'm okay with it. I know how hard it is to get across all this world building right off the bat, especially in even a 60-minute format, right? But we have this episode which boils down to Geralt gets roped into being a bodyguard for his bard, Jaskier Dandelion, very traditional spoony bard, and he goes this thing, and they're basically vying these princes to marry off to this princess. And in the matter of 20 minutes, a dude shows up who's a raccoon or a hedgehog man, and he's cursed, and he's claims a law of surprise that he can marry her, and it's this big thing, and they can't fuck over destiny. But then the queen doesn't want it, and because she doesn't believe in destiny. But then the daughter gets pissed and has magic, and her and the hedgehog are floating. But then the Witcher solves it. But then the hedgehog man's going to keep being a hedgehog until the 12th bell rings. But then he kisses her, and now he's a man, and they fucked over destiny. And then the next episode hits, and it has nothing to do with that episode. And it was just all this stuff thrown each episode in, trying to jam pack in, and not knowing that some of these were supposed to be short stories that were really kind of tangentially related to each other. I was trying so hard to follow this plot and keep in my head, okay, how is this important to what's going to happen next?
So did you not catch the timey-wimey stuff?
The timey-wimey stuff I was aware of because I had watched some reviews on the show and I talked with Russ about it. And having known about the timey-wimey stuff, it wasn't a problem at all. The fact that certain episodes or scenes in the show with Ciri were not taking place at the same time as the others. I kind of lost track at some points in episodes like 4 through 7 which times they were in, but it didn't really matter.
It doesn't.
No.
But I can see if I wasn't aware of the fact, if I was some schmuck who had no idea this timey-wimey stuff was going on, how confusing that could be. But again, that really wasn't my problem. I don't really have a problem with the fact that after the first couple episodes, the set started looking like shit. The budget obviously kind of dropped. Some of the acting was so-and-so. Some of it was good. But really, it came down to, as farther into the episodes went, the writing got really bad. People started making illogical decisions. And this weird habit of people asking questions that I, as a viewer, wanted an answer to, and the person they were asking literally wouldn't respond. There's a scene towards the end where the mages are gearing up to go defend a fort from this encroaching army. And for some reason, all these mages, who through the majority of the show, all the magic has been shown mostly to be portal-based, teleporting around. And they're going to this fort all in a dinghy. There's like 20 wizards floating on a boat from a ship to go to shore. That's like just the beginning of like, what is going on in this episode? Why didn't they teleport there? No answers given. They start referencing, one character says, oh, I saw this other mage. And this other chick says, you saw him? How's he doing? Or something like that. And she's like, doesn't answer her, or she does unrelated. And then she asks this other wizard, we have this plan, but it seems like a plan the military would make. We're mages. We should do something better. And he looks at her and doesn't answer. And then it cuts to the next scene. She's like, you haven't answered me in 2 hours. It's like, okay, they're going to answer the question. And he says something almost verbatim like, I found that history is the people in the future who determines these kinds of things. It's like, what does that even mean? And so we don't really know their plan going in. They go to this tower. They have this weird montage of them prepping for this combat. Yennefer goes up this tower to see a peasant like checking bows. She says, is that all you have? There's 5 bows there. And she's like, yeah, I tried to get more fletching, but the Nilfgaard stopped us. Already I'm like, why do you mean like you need more arrows? Like that's like saying, is that all the guns we have? Yeah, I tried getting more primer. Well, you also need bullets, right? But then Yennefer grabs one of the the arrows, which fletching is the feathers on an arrow to give it stability, and copies a bunch of them. And the chick says, man, I wish I could do magic or something like that. And Yennefer says, it's magic. It's not real. And then he gives her the feathers. And it's just such bonkers, weird dialogue that doesn't further the story, doesn't help at all. Why are you duplicating fletching? There's a whole bunch of arrows right there. Grab those, duplicate those. So at the same time, we have these weird pragmatic problems of these people making illogical decisions combined with really bad writing that it was really hard for me to enjoy. And you combine that with them trying to pack so much stuff in. I really felt like they took something that really could have been good and they Netflixed it, and they did a poor job. Overall, I had to push myself to finish it. And I liked a lot of the individual parts of the show. I love some of the way they display, newer takes on mythology and monsters. And again, Geralt dealing with morality of killing this, that, or the other. There's a whole dragon episode, which it reminded me so much of watching Hercules and Xena. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't good, right? It wasn't It wasn't the weird video game version of Game of Thrones I thought I was going to get going into this. And that's my fault for not really knowing what to expect going into it. But yeah.
So I'll jump in now. I don't disagree with everything that you're saying. When I was talking to people about the show coming out, I've read the books, I've played the games. I was concerned about how people were digesting the information that was being given to them. Mm-hmm. It seems to me, though, that most people had no trouble either the time stuff or even following a lot of the premises that were going on in each individual thing. And you kind of hit the nail on the head, is that the show really starts off with going through a lot of the short story stuff that they do in the books, which I really enjoyed them showing that. I mean, the whole first episode with Renfrey and stuff is how he gets the nickname the Butcher of Blaviken and sets up that premise and stuff about Geralt's character. And then eventually all these little disconnected blurbs that feel like disjointed, you will see a running narrative that goes through all of them. And when I watched the show, that's actually what I really enjoyed about it, was that they chose to not spoon feed you a linear narrative, but instead tried to capture both the essence of the books through these kind of episodic moments of Geralt's career. Now, a lot of my biggest problems with dialogue issues, and like you say bad storytelling and stuff, typically almost all revolves around Yennefer. I've talked about it many times. Yennefer is my least favorite character in that TV show.
Sorry to interrupt. I honestly feel like if I didn't know anything about Witcher, I would have thought Yennefer was the main character.
That's 100% the problem. And as far as I can remember, when it comes to the books and stuff like that, a lot of the stuff that they covered with Yennefer is not in there. I remember her maybe making vague references occasionally when she popped up in Geralt's storyline. But I think maybe they're pulling more out of canon that they'd gotten from the video game itself.
Adam and I looked up the wikis, and they actually have different wikis for the show versus the books versus the games. And we're looking at the storyline in the books versus the show, and they divulge pretty hard at times. They just decided at times to change the story or change plot points.
Is that just because Yennefer, she needs to be a co-protagonist?
Part of it is that they show Yennefer's coming of age story, and you don't get that for Geralt.
Yep.
You get her was the Bildungsroman was the term I looked up, that growing up and going through all of her trauma.
And that's the thing, is in the books and the games, you never really get exposed so in your face about Yennefer's origin story. And honestly, it was a long time before I had really realized that Yennefer used to be an ugly, poor girl in general. That's something that had to be teased out as I was playing the games and reading the books and stuff. Then you find out that it's fairly common in the sorceress world and stuff. That's the first thing they do is improve their physical appearance.
Really big plot point in the show. And that was another problem I had with I don't know if writing is to blame so much as directing at that point, but they go hard in the paint about trying to get across to you that Yennefer's primary motive is power. And she is unhinged and chaotic in both the literal magic sense and the metaphorical sense, and uncontrollable, and
which is also way off base for who Yennefer is. That's literally what I think that, and that's what you see it a lot when they're adapting other mediums into a new medium. If they divert too much from the core materials that they have, or even didn't take the time to really read and understand the material that they're doing, you end up with scenarios like this where I think all of the Yennefer stuff
plot thing.
Yeah, it's like their own creation. They didn't have enough source material that they felt they could go on, so they're like, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. And you start getting a fucking Game of Thrones issue where you see the steady decline of the quality, or at least the vision of the show as a whole, because they're having to rely on subpar workers, writers and stuff that are doing this.
One more thing before I let you talk, Josh. I think one of the capping moments in the defines the problem I had with the show, Yennefer being so much about power in her coming of age until she becomes a wizard, that she's willing to sacrifice her ovaries, her reproductive system, to look the way she wants to feel and become this powerful mage. What was decent. I mean, it tells you this character is flawed and willing to go to any lengths, go through, this essentially magical surgery without anesthesia. And then in an episode or two, suddenly she's trying to find weird wives' tale cures for her infertility. And I thought it was a problem of them trying to fit in too much of the show into too little space. So it was left out, this transfer of her. They go over it in the first part of the episode after you see, okay, she's got her power. She joins this kingdom, Erin or whatever, and she spends 10, 20, 30 years. I forget how long it's there. And it's super boring. And she's supposed to protect this queen there's the whole baby scene and all that. But we go from 3 or 4 episodes of her wanting power to then being, I guess, told in about 5 minutes that now she doesn't care about that and she wants babies now. And that's a complete trashing of her character shown to me. And from what I'm getting to you, that isn't even really maybe who Yennefer was in the books and the games. So, is it an issue of them trying to fit too much content in and having to cut stuff? Or did they just make something up and didn't have anywhere to go with it?
I took away from that with that episode that Yennefer realizes the real power is choice. She
chose herself to get rid of her ovaries. She actually had to she wasn't supposed to go in and go through that surgery because she didn't pass. It was hard to tell if she was allowed to go do that, because it seems like she was doing it on the side. She's like, you said you could do this. Let's do this right now. We don't have time for anesthesia. Put me through the ritual. And I honestly, things were going so quickly, I couldn't tell if she was allowed to go do that or not.
I kind of want to give it a watch, another watch through.
Yeah. I should remember, as well, but
it's been a long time.
I remember some of what you're saying, but for me, I haven't played any of the games or read any of the books, and I enjoyed it pretty well.
I think everything outside of Yennefer is pretty great fantasy television. Especially when you compare it to what other fantasy television has been done, I think it's pretty high quality. I do want to make a point, when your budget gets so low that you can't make a live action stage of a generic medieval throne room, and you have to resort really to green janky screens. Come on, that's there's got to be one of those in the back of every fucking high school somewhere where you can make a physical set piece.
Fuck, get the Renfair to stop by.
Yeah, come on. There's no excuse that you need a green screen. There's those moments where there are people dancing in these grand halls and stuff. Fuck, get some of your actors to fly over to Europe for a little while. You can find those. They exist.
Part of that problem is, I'm really not one to nitpick sets unless it's so glaringly bad it's cutting into my immersion. But some of the sets look like actual kind of rundown Game of Thrones medieval towns, Black Dark Ages stuff, and then other ones look like this is literally just a village in Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. It is 2 episodes later. Honestly, it'd be a weird way to go with it, but if they had made that series, the first season, about Yennefer and not had this weird twist shift in her character from power to wanting a baby, I really liked Yennefer's stuff up until then.
Yeah. I think if they wanted to make a series out of this, you leave Yennefer, anything about Yennefer's backstory out entirely of the first season, and you only have her appear as this occasional power, mysterious sorceress that shows up sometimes next to the seats of power, and you don't know much about her, but there's obviously some sort of like physical, like animal attraction between her and Geralt to where maybe they hook up on occasion. But like you don't explain any of that.
Yeah, that sounds
just
intriguing.
The familiarization of Yennefer to the audience removes any sense of mystique and danger from her, because we've seen her go through these struggles, and you get a whole different feel from it.
And usually my number one complaint when I talk about that show is, and these guys will attest to, is that the casting that I think they did for Yennefer is entirely, and this lends to why her story also feels off, because the Yennefer that I envisioned in my own head from the novels or portrayed fairly well in the game is literally a woman of striking beauty, not like, oh my goodness, she's hard to look at, just a commanding, powerful presence due to a literal aura of power. She just gives off like almost a sense of a potent and malice because she is a sorceress. But then also the charisma and what's a good word for it? Panache. Yeah, I guess panache seems a little flashier. It's the kind of thing that you hear about. Gravitas is good. I like that, because it's when a woman enters a room and all eyes turn to her. That is the kind of embodiment that I think that she needed, and who they cast her failed miserably. She looks too young. She looks too immature. And because they give so much of her backstory in the show, you know how she got to where she's at, which takes away the power that she has as this mysterious, beautiful sorceress that's always next to these seats of power.
Having not played the games, I really didn't care too much about any of the actors' individual given looks, other than Yennefer definitely is just, she looked too young. She looked too young for the power she was supposed to command. Also, I didn't realize Triss was Triss until the last episode of the show.
Whatever to Triss Marigold.
She's the redhead, isn't she?
She's
like
the redhead.
Pretty big deal in the game.
I mean, she can be. She's
okay. I didn't know.
Fuck a lot of women as Geralt of Rivia in those games and stuff. And yes, I'd say in Witcher 3, you essentially. Should I spoil stuff from Witcher 3? I mean, I don't know.
Sure, why not?
Okay, because I know you haven't played it. I know the game's old as dicks, but I mean, it's still worth playing. You essentially have like an amnesia for a while as Geralt.
Okay.
And Triss is another sorceress, and she uses your amnesia to start a relationship with you. Knowing full well that like you've always been hung up on Yennefer. But Yennefer is so aloof and so in and out of your life that's like you have this opportunity to try to like essentially steal Geralt's love because he doesn't remember any of this history that you have with other people. And then at some point, you can fall in love with Triss, and then you have to make a choice once you've been made aware and you get your memories back and stuff, that it doesn't erase your memories of the time that you've now spent with Triss, but you have the warring memories of the time you spent with Yennefer as well, and you have to make a decision. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that they touch on it in the show, to where when they're trying to capture that Jinn, they end up forming some sort of magical bond with each other.
Wish to like be with her forever.
Yeah. And so in the third Witcher, you eventually get to break that bond, because it's like essentially all the times that you've spent with Yennefer over your lifetime, you now have to question on whether or not that was actual like kismet and an animal attraction that keeps bringing you back together, or was it this magical fucking prophecy shit that's got you connected. When you can break that spell, you then have the choice. Okay, now we've broken it. We don't have to be with each other. Do you want to be with me? And then at that point, you can choose like, oh, right now this is over. I'm actually realize I love Triss and not you.
Gotcha.
Go with Yennefer. Go with neither. And that's really the open-ended aspect of that relationship part of the game. But the Triss in the show, like I don't even fucking. I literally don't remember character. Other than the caster is not a white redheaded woman, which is fine. I don't care. And then I feel like she wasn't really.
She was in one episode where they deal with the Striga, and then she's in the last episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think she might have had a few little cameos there.
Yeah, very short appearances.
Yeah.
So based on what she is in the video games, then she could also be written off as like not super important. Because once again, the story is really Geralt and Yennefer by proxy.
Yeah. So my take, because I actually just rewatched it just a few weeks ago.
Nice.
So I have to disagree with you on most of your evaluation of it. Although I agree partially. My experience, none of that really detracted enough for me not to enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed The Witcher in almost all aspects. And you and Russ and I have talked about Yennefer. I liked Yennefer. I think she got way too much screen time.
Yeah.
I think her character was the most developed character of all, and it was unnecessary. I think by showing and not implying, they actually took away some of her, because I don't think the actress matters. I don't think the actress failed to show an air of or the ability to command a room,
you felt that from her. You felt like that she's
absolutely. But what took away from it is showing that progression.
So maybe she would have had more gravitas had they not had her origin story.
I think she would have.
I at least allow that, because that is a big distraction.
We're trained as a Western audience to align protagonists with the people that we watch coming of age stories with. Like if you see the origin story of a character, that's the protagonist.
Yep.
Like why else would you be showing me their story?
Yep.
So when we only get that for really Ciri, and Adam and I were talking about this.
The literal Uncle Ben of it, if you will.
Yeah. Whatever decision they made to split this timeline and show everything interspersed means that for the majority of the time, Yennefer and Ciri, from what I remember, don't even ever interact, and Geralt interacts with her once at the very end of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
last minute.
Yeah, I can especially see if you aren't aware in the first handful of episodes, there's time stuff going on trying to figure out the series happening after all this.
I don't think you could not be aware.
One of our friends was unaware.
I looked it up. A lot of people, one of their major complaints was trying to wrap their head around all the timey-wimey stuff. You keep waiting for Ciri and Geralt and Yennefer to come together, and they never do.
To be fair, that is, I said that the story is really about Geralt and by proxy Yennefer, but I forgot that Ciri is actually probably the primary story of
the motivator for the story.
My takeaway was that I wanted to watch this on its own merits. If I didn't know anything about Witcher, which I have surface level knowledge of, what am I going to get? And I did not. It wasn't good.
What I could say is that I would look at this first season as trying to get people up to speed and familiar with the universe to start the series storyline.
Yep.
Because really the crux of the Witcher universe is the series storyline. And you have to have where Ciri came from, who Geralt is, who Yennefer is, and a bit of who these kingdoms are and what is going on to set up that Ciri line. And that's actually the novel, not the collection of the short stories of his adventures, but the novel itself is the Wild Hunt stuff, which is 100% geared entirely around Ciri and what she is. Yeah. And so I think that's what I would look at the first season of The Witcher as a quick prologue to the Ciri storyline, which is what I'm hoping we'll really get into in the next season. Maybe they'll be able to go very linearly and in detail about what's going on in the world, because they don't have to do all that extra fluff stuff to introduce you to people. Yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I mean,
hopefully. I hope they get a new fucking writer.
The timey-wimey stuff I found was a really interesting way to show that Geralt's a fairly timeless fellow. He's moving, he's moving through time. Cities are changing, getting larger, and
10 years passes in the show, from what I gathered. From
Ciri
was born.
It depends on what part of the storyline they're talking about. Because when they do the Yennefer stuff, she's literally spent 50, 60 years as an advisor to this kingdom at some point.
They didn't see that across well.
No, I know they don't.
They didn't.
All the Yennefer stuff is terrible.
The king with the Striga episode, in one of the other episodes, you meet him as a little boy, pestering his sister. And so,
in the game,
in the show, the king that's having Geralt hunt the Striga. I can't remember the king's name.
Him and his sister interacting. Yeah, from what I remember, was after his episode.
Yeah, but so that's further. That's just going to show further back in the past. It jumps around a little bit, but
the thing is it has nothing to do. The whole problem I have with the show is there's no plot. The plot.
Correct.
I was waiting the entire season for the plot to happen.
But what the ending told us is that everything that we've watched so far is literally to establish characters.
Yeah.
The plot is
leading
for you to learn
Ciri
something.
meeting Geralt.
The entirety of the series was the character development of
That's cool.
two of the main characters.
Yeah, they
and
very poorly.
I understand.
They had so many. It felt like they
frustration.
had filler episodes in a 8-episode season on Netflix. Like the whole dragon episode. I was like, none of this had to be here. Again, had I known some of these episodes you're going to watch are going to be Geralt short story episodes. Okay, cool. That's going to help temper a lot of my opinion on this. But
how do you know that going into watching anything on whether or not it's going to be like how they're going to choose to go about
it's very
telling a
rare
story?
when someone's making a show, they choose a handful of episodes and they're basing them off a short story related to the main plot, and they're not going to tell you. Like if you're basing it off a source material, it's almost always you're basing it off a series or a book. It's not like, okay, episode 3 of this show is going to be a short story that we're going to, so far, you don't really know timeline-wise when this takes place. Maybe it just happened after the last episode. Maybe it didn't. And then the episode finishes. And then none of the stuff that happened in the episode has context on anything else that happens in the show. It's like, what? Okay, that was a cool filler episode, but it's 4 episodes into the show.
I think an argument could be made that they could have done a better job of kind of streamlining what information they wanted to get across in a way that is more traditional in how you're going to portray like an ongoing series of stuff, especially with just, you could throw in subtitles that tell you that, okay, now we're going back to this time, instead of never telling you when and where they pretty much are at any given point. I would argue that those problems I could easily foresee no longer being an issue.
I hope so
going forward,
future seasons,
because we got through that, and it's almost like they wanted to stay really true to the source material in some aspects, but because they chose to tell the story in the manner of like the games and the short story tried to kind of piece everything together. But it's bizarre considering how many liberties I felt like they also took with the story. So it's like you gotta pick a lane.
That Gold Dragon episode in particular, Adam, I was outside and he was reading off concurrently the Netflix story and the book story of that whole dragon debacle. Mm-hmm. And they would diverge and come back together and diverge, come back together. And like they took some of the plot points from the story and then like kind of like told the story backwards. Like in the show, the Gold Dragon basically wanted to keep his enemies close. So from what I gathered, he was the one to cause the dragon fire, to get the king, to cause people to come to try to kill the dragon so he could kill his enemies so he could keep the egg safe. And like, as they talk about in the books, it was kind of backwards. Like the dragon didn't really know what exactly was going to happen. So he was being on the down low and then like waited until later in the story to reveal who he was to actually make a decision. So at the very least, what I'm getting at, it sounds like they changed some of the story for that reason that all cocaine Hollywood directors do, where they get a good story and they're like, okay, well, we got to change at least 40% of it because that's the law of the cosmos.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I do admit too that whole Gold Dragon stuff does have very Hercules.
It's got Hercules vibes
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, of course,
it wasn't bad. It was entertaining.
Yeah, it's hero shit.
Like they introduced the 4 groups, and one of them are the Reavers.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where one of the people turns to Geralt and is like, "You know what the Reavers are?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then it cuts to something else. And I'm like, it's like 6 white dudes with paint on their chins. Am I supposed to be terrified, amused? I can't tell. Like, is this supposed to be funny or not? And then, yeah. And apparently the Reavers are a pretty fucking like decently big deal in the story,
I don't remember them.
Just
in the books at least. Adam was reading through the book line, like they captured Geralt or they did something, and I got that feeling like I'm okay if they're trying to show not tell. Like the whole idea of Yennefer's compatriots getting turned into eels and pushed into the milk to feed the power of the tower,
which I don't remember any of that from
that's
any
fine.
of the stuff.
To me, that's them trying to say
finally
showing not
eels
telling.
come from.
Like yeah, like eels aside, why the fuck are they eels? It doesn't really matter, right? They're batteries for this building. but then it has like no implication on the story. Like they're spending so much time showing and not telling. Oh, you see all these skulls in this hall, says the black magic man. They're elf skulls, and let's have sex now. And then they have sex, and it's like, oh, thanks for telling me that. Is that going to come up later? No. So
It might.
yeah.
Yeah, go Notre Dame. Hey, so we need to I win. Way, yeah.
Yeah, we got ranty. Yeah.
Curveball. So we got to go.
Get
And
out.
this. Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
listening. Thanks for watching. Go to all the regular places, videogametango.com for all of it. Facebook.com/videogametango.
For some of
Look
it.
us up on YouTube. Everywhere. Check it out.
Also, werewolffacts.com.
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 Werewolffacts.com. Ow. Ow. Ugh.